I have a disabled parking placard, and a few weeks ago I went to Target to buy things I didn't need and forget the things I did. Not only were all the spaces taken, someone parked their gigantic Escalade on the line between two disabled spaces, taking up both. Wholly irritated because this happens so much, I walked around the car, no placard or disabled plate. Cue the fury of someone who has to deal with this stuff all the time, and cue petty revenge. I took a pic and went inside to find a manager. When I found one, I showed her the photo and she rolled her eyes and sighed. Apparently this happens a lot at their location because it's near an affluent town with a lot of very wealthy, very entitled people, and most often it's the owners of huge sport utility vehicles and Ford F-150 that park like jerks. She said she'd call the cops, so I decided to go back outside and hang out by the doors to watch the show. The manager joined me and we chatted while we waited for the police. The cops arrived and walked around the car, peering through the windows and running the plate. One cop took out a little book and started writing in it. They took some photos and one came over and asked if they'd make an announcement in the store to get the driver outside. The manager radioed someone inside and asked them to announce the make and model and plate of the car over the public address system. A few minutes later, she came charging out of the store. Middle-aged, well-dressed woman, the common Karen of North America, and already yelling at the police. As soon as she got to her car, one of the cops held up his hand to shut her up and started lecturing her. I was too far away to hear, but she stopped yelling at least. That cop spoke to her for a few minutes, and then the other cop with the little book handed her but 2 papers. She looked absolutely apoplectic. The cops came back over and spoke to the manager, telling her they ordered her to move her car, and if she didn't or caused problems in the store to call them back and they'd tow the car. They told us they gave her 2 tickets, for each space, at $500 each. Ouch. The manager thanked the police and me and went back inside. The woman stomped around a bit before getting in her car and peeling out. The cops looked at each other, then got in their cars and followed her. Pretty sure she continued to have the day she deserved. Meanwhile, I happily treated myself to some Legos for performing a public service. Laughing face, and hashtag X200B. Edit. Thank you for the awards and the response. It's so nice to hear from the disabled community and our caretakers. Your stories have touched me so much, and I'm glad my story made you feel a little vindicated. Happy face/smile. It felt really good to watch someone get actual consequences for their bad behavior. Something seemingly rare these days. Maybe not as petty as this sub usually sees, but definitely revenge. Happy face/smile. Comment by user. As the daughter to a disabled father who needs a van space to get out in his wheelchair. Thank you. Reply by original poster. It's even more fun when people pull into a disabled space diagonally across the space and into the striped zone. Like, they don't even bother pulling into the space, they just put their car wherever and leave it there. I swear, people have gotten so selfish and entitled over the last few years. They just do not care how their actions affect other people. They are always the main character. Comment by user. Legos were the perfect way to treat yourself. Reply by original poster. If I win the Mega Power Millions ball, I'm going to have a Lego room. Comment by user. This reminded me of 2 stories. One is mine and one is of a friend. Both involve people who like to park in the hash-marked areas on the right side of van-accessible spots. Mine. Back 10+ years ago, when my daughters were in elementary school during pickup, there was this one parent who decided he was going to park in the hash-marked area between 2 handicapped spots. The first time he was told not to do it again. The second time another dad magically produced the dollies that are used to move cars around a garage, and a few of us other dads pushed the car to the far end of the lot. Third time, apparently, one of the moms told her husband about this guy. Turned out the husband was a deputy sheriff and came to pick up his kid with ticket book in hand. The jackass still didn't get the point and did it a 4th time. This time the deputy sheriff dad wrote another ticket and another dad had shown up with his tow truck, had towing contract the county. That 4th time cost him a pretty penny, $500 for the ticket and $278 for the tow and impound. Friends. He passed away this spring, was a double-leg amputee, IED. On days where his stumps were bothering him, he would use a wheelchair. On those days he needed to use the side ramp on his van. The thing is, side ramps need at least 6 to 8 feet to operate. His pet peeve was people who would park in the hash-marked area to the right of handicap spots. After one time where he thought he had room to operate his ramp and hit an illegally parked car and the cop wrote a ticket for the illegally parked car, he realized that the cops would side with the double amputee disabled vet. So it became a personal mission to drop the ramp on as many illegally parked vehicles as possible. For every one that he did, he would paint a tally mark on his van. Those who knew what the tally marks meant always got a good laugh every time we saw it. When he went into hospice in February, the count was 278, with an average of a little over 21 vehicles hit with the ramp per year. The best part was he hadn't told his wife. When I visited him in hospice, all he said to me was that he was hoping to make it to 300, which got a confused look from his wife when I started laughing. When I explained to her why I laughed, at his wake she just shook her head and said that it explained why he always wanted to do the grocery shopping. Reply by original poster. I love these. Comment by user. Good for you. I once parked in a disabled space in a deserted service station. A disabled person showed up. I never felt so tiny in my life. People who park in disabled spots are scum. Reply by original poster. Sometimes that happens, especially if the spot hasn't been repainted in years, or the sign isn't easily visible. They need to make the spaces more obvious, because it can be an easy mistake to make. The key thing is you felt bad about it. This woman was angry she got caught. Big difference. Comment by user. I was unsuccessful in trying to get a grocery store to care when a lady parked in the space between the disabled spots. That area that's got the lines indicating it's not for parking, it's to give space for wheelchairs or other such things. I also stood there glaring at her for several minutes. I would have stayed longer, but it was snowing and getting worse. I was concerned I wouldn't make it home if I didn't get going. I've been lucky and have never needed a placard, but you better believe I judge people like the absolute Karen in Op Story. Reply by original poster. Oh my God, this happened at Walmart the other day. A huge pickup parked in the zebra stripes next to a van accessible space, just made his own damn space, to hell with everyone else apparently. So infuriating, and the manager I spoke to didn't care at all. /***. The struggle against ableism is real. Comment by user. My mother-in-law was ticketed for parking in a handicap spot. She was livid. The spot she parked in was in front of a closed-down store. Think empty spot at a strip mall. And there was no one else around her. She found it silly that she got a ticket. I told her that the status of the store is irrelevant and doesn't exempt her from the law. If the spots in the main lot are full, a handicapped person still needs access to those spots. They're often in front of the sidewalk divots for wheelchair access. She can't pick and choose which laws apply to her. Same when we had speed radar enforced lights added in a school zone. She complained about them, saying, "Do those kids really need a sign to cross the street? They're in high school." Knowing a kid died several years prior from being hit by a speeding car. I told her the signs weren't for the kids. They were for the assholes that drove 60 in a 30. I then locked eyes with her. Yeah, you're probably talking about me. I do tend to speed a little. She's such a narc. Reply by original poster. This attitude is so common now, too. This wholehearted belief that they are the exception to the rules. It never occurs to them that their actions have a detrimental effect on the people around them because it doesn't matter. What they want to do is the priority. They're the main character, the plot is always about them. Uneasy face. I hope your mother-in-law doesn't hit someone by that school. I do hope she gets caught by a cop, though. Speeding in a school zone is expensive. Oh /_oh, I'm sorry she's like that. Comment by user. As someone who needs the wider spaces to open the car door fully or my hip locks, painfully, whilst trying to get out of the car, thank you so much. People who park in disabled parking bays without a valid badge really tick me off. Reply by original poster. I'd never do it, but I've never wanted to key a car more than when I see someone illegally parked in a disabled spot. Sad face. Comment by user. So awesome. Did you get popcorn before or afterwards? Reply by original poster. I wish. I would have absolutely been a popcorn.gif. Comment by user. Awesome. Peeling out got her an exhibition of speed and pulled her license, I bet. Reply by original poster. Muahahaha. / evil wizard laugh / Comment by user. OP. Parked. Between two disabled spaces. Me. Please go where I think this is going. Please, 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 please. OP. They gave her 2 tickets. Me. Yes. Ahahaha. Suck it, Karen. Reply by original poster. I hoped and the gods smiled upon me. Mwahaha. Comment by user. Nice to see someone get caught. Reply by original poster. Right? I'm so tired of these people getting away with this stuff. There has to be consequences for this stuff or they'll just keep doing it, thinking they're untouchable. Comment by user. Peeled out. You mean exhibition of speed? That's a ticket and in some places a trip to jailhouse. Reply by original poster. Oh yeah, screeching tires and everything. She definitely had a very bad day. Comment by user. Good on you for reporting her. Also, went to Target to buy things I didn't need and forget the things I did. This sentence is gold. Perfect description of every Target trip I've ever taken. Reply by original poster. I went in for rubber gloves. What I left with. Appetizer plates with ghosts on them. I do not serve appetizers as I do not entertain because hell is other people. Febreze, a bag of Reese's Cups, Sharpies, and a cat toy my cats do not need. What I didn't leave with rubber gloves. Comment by user. I live in an entitled city in SFL. This happens everywhere here. And it is usually Range Rovers, Denali SUV, and large sedan high-ends. We prefer to park farther away in the lots to avoid accidental damage to one's doors and QTR panels by the retiree population whose motor skills have obviously deteriorated to below average levels yet refuse to give up their lick. And prefer to continue to endanger others. Reply by original poster. How do you know my dad? Comment by user. I have a placard in my wife's car and the yellow sticker on my pickup. I use the spots when I need to, but I prefer to leave the spaces open for those who may need them more than I. When I had the handicapped sticker on my motorcycle, I would get people that would yell at me for parking in handicapped parking. Or I would park in the striped area that would not interfere with a wheelchair ramp. When I rode with a veterans club, there were quite a few who had handicapped plates. If we were on a run and were going in to eat, we would get 4 bikes in one parking place. People just don't understand that just because you're not in a wheelchair, it doesn't mean you can't have handicapped parking privileges. I wonder how many will comment against bikes having handicapped parking privileges. Reply by original poster. To some abled people, if you don't have a visible disability or one of the accepted assistive devices, you're not really disabled. Or they want you to prove you're disabled. When I was a teenager, my mother had terminal ovarian cancer and about 6 months to live. She had a disabled placard because chemo left her pretty weak, though she could walk short distances. We liked to go to the mall to walk around so she'd get some exercise. One day this dude decided to comment on how my mom didn't look disabled enough for the parking space. My mom, underweight, pale, clearly unwell, was embarrassed and hurried inside to get away from him. Meanwhile, I was so angry that I said to the guy, "Shall be dead in 6 months? Is that disabled enough for you?" I didn't stay for a reaction, but I hope he felt like garbage all day. I hope that haunted him for years. I hope he never forgot the day he harassed a dying woman over a parking space. And I hope he never did it again. Comment by user. I have disabled plates due to my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and hypermobility that makes it hard for me to walk long distances. At my apartment, I have an assigned parking spot, but it's across the parking lot from my apartment. The handicap spot is right in front of my apartment. I've lived here 6 months and have not seen any other cars with disabled plates or placard, so I park in the handicap spot most of the time. Directly next to me is the striped spot for ramps, extra room, etc., which I generally use to get my baby in and out of his car seat. Yet every other day someone parks there. I sent a message to property management, but they haven't done anything. So I started parking crookedly with just one tire in the spot, so no one can fit there. Woman shrugging, I may look like an but at least I'm parked in actual spot. Reply by original poster. Advocate for yourself when no one else will, even if it takes an move. Approved 100%. Comment by user. I believe when someone parks in a spot for handicapped people, that person 100% has some disability, albeit in some cases idiocy just hasn't been diagnosed yet. Reply by original poster. The real reason I went after her was parking in between two spaces and taking both up. Her car was huge, it even stuck out into the aisle because she didn't pull all the way in. Even if she had a legitimate placard, that's still an incredible lack of courtesy. Lack of empathy is definitely a disability, right? Comment by user. What Lego set did you get? Reply by original poster. The N1 from Mandalorian. Laughing face. I collect Star Wars Lego. Comment by user. One very cold night, a cop stomped up to the service desk. He asked us to make an announcement for a van parked outside. So we did. The owners came up and he ripped into them about leaving their dog in the ingested van for over 30 minutes. They tried to argue that we were only in here for 5 minutes. He stopped them and said he was in the parking lot for over 30 minutes doing some paperwork and no one had been to the van. It was glorious. Also, this was in a very wealthy town. Like, why wouldn't you leave the dog at home? Or if you were living in the van, have one person stay in the van with the dog and keep the van and heater on. Reply by original poster. These people see pets as expendable. This is heinous. Comment by user. Good for you. I have a blue badge for my son who uses a walker or wheelchair depending on how he's doing. I went shopping to Trader Joe's and because we were in a rush, after parking in the blue badge space and displaying the badge, I carried him into the store to use the Caroline's cart. I saw someone watching me and when I came out I had a ticket. Dismissed when I wrote to the authority and sent a picture of my son holding the badge. What I think happened is that someone saw me park and carry him in and assumed I was a lazy parent and the badge was being abused. Really annoying, but at least the spaces were being watched. Reply by original poster. It never occurs to them that a disabled space's short distance to the doors and the carts isn't just for the disabled person. No one has any dang empathy. Comment by user. You deserve lots of treats today. Reply by original poster. I have a Reese's to nom and a kitty in my lap. Comment by user. Sadly, if she was really wealthy, that would just be a slap on the wrist. Reply by original poster. True, but her indignation at being caught sustains me like oxygen. Happy face/smile. Comment by user. What Lego set did you get? That's the important thing now. Reply by original poster. The N1 from The Mandalorian. It was a splurge, but I like the Lego ships. Comment by user. Thank you so much. I can't walk anymore or drive. I can use my walker, but every step is really painful. If I encounter a person without a placard parked in handicap, they always look guilty and sometimes even say they're sorry for taking a spot after they witness my lame attempts to get inside. I loved your story. Marcia in Modesto, California. Reply by original poster. Hey Modesto. Sacramento native here. I sometimes park in the disabled spots when I am doing alright because more often than not I feel okay going in, but after standing/walking a bunch, when I leave is when I'll need the closer space. And sometimes I don't know if I'm gonna hurt that much on the way out. Sometimes I look fine and I know people judge me for it, but how do you explain that your body's glitch is intermittent? Comment by user. My husband has a placard but sometimes forgets to take it when we switch cars. He wants to park in the handicap spot, but I really don't want anyone upset because the card isn't there. So I usually just drop him off, but it's always a disagreement. Reply by original poster. I worry about forgetting mine and accidentally parking in a space. I'm applying for a disabled license plate when I have to replace my placard next year. If that's available in your state, you might look into it. I think you can get one for both cars. Comment by user. I heard there is a famous person who is very wealthy. He hates trying to find legal parking, so he parks anywhere he wants. If his car gets towed, he just goes and buys another car. There are people who think that way. Reply by original poster. I see talk about income-based fines, which sounds interesting. I do think the wealthy should pay higher fines, especially when they're clearly breaking the law because they feel like they can. We need to make the consequences for them hit harder, or they will never stop flouting the law because they feel untouchable. Comment by user. It really must be near an affluent area if the cops will show up for something like that. I'm glad they did, but I've had them get annoyed at me for calling in a drunk driver who was all over the road and a good bit of the scenery to boot. This was on a hilly 55 miles per hour 2-lane road where he could easily cause a head-on collision. Reply by original poster. TBH, I think our cops are more responsive because this area is pretty low crime so they get bored, lol. Comment by user. Okay. But this isn't petty. These people are beyond rude. They have regard for the people who actually need these spaces to obtain services. Reply by original poster. I wasn't sure if this was petty or malicious revenge, but a friend told me to post it here. I did feel pretty petty by standing outside to watch. Comment by user. What Legos did you get? Reply by original poster. The N1 from The Mandalorian. Comment by user. What set did you get? Reply by original poster. I got the N1 from The Mandalorian. Please leave your story in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to get new update. Thank you.